Forget about getting some standard, you know, they used to give you.
All right, guys, let's get started. Thanks everybody for coming. Sussex County Patriots, Sussex/Morris, a lot of us were from Morris, from Sussex County. If you want, everyone, I'd like you to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
USA! 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 Come on, people! Join in! Yes!
Does everybody here know what that gold fringe means?
Yes.
Maritime, right?
Well,
So it would be better if that wasn't there.
Yes, that's right. We make the leaders.
That's the house flag. What are we gonna do?
That's right. Pat was bringing a flag for a while.
I've got an extra in my truck.
All right, let's do a little Bible verse. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to read the Beatitudes.
Oh, no, we don't have any.
Okay.
We have no more.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Blessed are the hungry and thirsty for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And some of it's cut off. Something when they insult you and persecute you because of me, rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great. Amen. Amen. Okay. Is anybody new tonight? I don't think so. Yes, yes, over here. Over here. Would you mind introducing yourself, what town you're from, and why you came?
My name is Dave. I went to Kinnelon High School and I came up here to raise sheep and deliver pizza.
Okay.
I'll say the first song I wrote was inspired by the Occupy Wall Street movement, 2011. The first time I heard mass arrest, I've been waiting for this to happen. You know, listening to Benjamin Fulford X-22 report for the last 9 years now. It's just like we're waiting for the show to stop. If the military's in charge, well, what do we have to wait until there's more people from south? It's just ridiculous. And everything with the pandemic, there's still people that can't put it together. Share your knowledge with like-minded people. Some people just have too much pride to admit they made a mistake with that, or to know that Trump wasn't really a bad guy. I never liked him until he became president. And when I loved him, I started loving Trump when he said, "You're fake news."
Yeah.
But I like I said, after writing The Jig Is Up, Let's End the Fed, we caught the snakes off with its head, because it's all about ending the central bank. They've been in charge. That's the one common denominator, is the central bank has been printing our money for all these years. If you know about Waterloo, they pretty much, the information got to them quicker with a pony. But that's where we're all roads lead to Rome, and I think if you can control the money system, you can control people. Okay, these people that are being blackmailed, these people in Congress, they're not being blackmailed with silver and gold, they're being blackmailed with money. Everyone wakes up, I'm paying, it's all about the money. And that's what it comes down to. No one wants a cashless society. Most of the money that has been printed in all of its existence was printed in the last 2 years. 80% of the dollars has been printed in the last 2 years. So, it'd be good to get prepared. Well, to be honest with you, if it doesn't get back to normal in 3 months, I'm not even going to want to be around. But everyone should have enough to hold their own for a few months. Because you think about it, we're too domesticated. And learn the truth. The hallmark of a healthy mind is wanting to know the truth, no matter how dire it is. And that's it.
Absolutely. Welcome.
What is your name again? I'm sorry.
David.
David, how'd you find us here?
Through Patty.
Through Patty, okay. Good job, Patty. That's great.
We do talk about preparedness a lot.
Yeah,
We've had
that's
meetings
wonderful.
based around that.
It's wonderful to have you.
Just a
here.
couple pictures. This is the Rockaway rally from last week.
Oh, let's introduce
Oh,
yourself.
I'm sorry.
Is
Can
Sarah
you introduce
Jordan?
yourself?
Hi, I'm Eric.
Hi,
I'm Cole's son.
Hi, guys.
I'm here. I'm listening, so.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
Okay. Sparta, you're killing it with the signs. Really, they're amazing. And our Patriots at the Sparta rally. So without further ado, unless there's no business that needs to be addressed right now, we can get to stuff after. Soup Mama came from Pennsylvania here. Charisse, this is her flyer. I think she has some to hand
Yes.
out. And if you wanted, I have your YouTube up here if you want
Oh.
anything. But I'm gonna just leave you to take the floor if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure, that's
okay.
fine.
Thank you for coming. Let's welcome Soup Mama.
So, hi guys, good evening. My name is Charisse, but everybody knows me as Soup Mama. It's an affectionate acquired nickname that's just about a year old. So I'm really excited about that. I do hail from Pennsylvania, so I am your next door neighbor, so to speak. And I'm just here kind of to tell my story. I met these guys just a few weeks ago. I decided to come check out the flag waves and standouts over the weekend, and what an awesome experience. So thank you very much. All of you that I got to know, this is amazing. You guys were out in the freezing cold, and it was just very inspirational. So, last year, as many of you know, we have just celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Freedom Day in Canada, which is celebrating the day that many of the truckers left to go to Ottawa. That's kind of where I got the start as Soup Mama. I started watching Canada, and I was watching what they were doing, and I was like, yeah, let's go. I actually really wanted to drive up to the border, but I knew they wouldn't let me across, so I'm like, well, how do I help? And then I heard the trucks were coming from California. So I got really, really excited. I'm like, yes, here we go, here we go, here we go. Very, very cool. So I got in on the Telegram pages right away, and I created my own group right away, which is why I actually had a cool group to go down to Maryland with, because I got it before all those pages got infiltrated. I don't know if y'all remember that, if you were on those pages. Kind of crazy time. But I created a group for my county and the surrounding areas, and my mom's county and her surrounding areas. So a bunch of us got together. We decided, okay, we're all going to go down. 2 of us went down the same day as the northeast extension of the convoy. So, for many of you that don't know, they were coming from out west, but there was a whole big section of us that were already going down to DC. So we all kind of converged in one spot there in Hagerstown. I remember talking to my husband and my kids and saying, I don't know what's gonna happen. I want to go. I want to help. I've got to do something. I can't do this anymore. I said they're infringing on every right we have. From the start of the mask mandates, I had asked my mother about making me a yellow star because I didn't want to wear a mask, and she was like, "You can't do that." And I said, "The heck I can't." I said, "This is what it is." She goes, "You can't say that." I said, "Yes, I can."
And for people who
Yeah, what
don't
is
know,
that?
what is the yellow star?
The yellow star from the Holocaust.
So it's like a Star of David.
The Star of David, yes. Yes, I told her I wanted a yellow star as an armband because I didn't want to wear a mask. And it's not that I didn't want to, okay? I didn't want to hurt anybody, but science says aerosol, flimsy little mask. I don't think so. Basic science in high school, guys. So anyway, moving on from that, I also I have done a lot of research over the years, and I've been on all of the same things. You look at the World Economic Forum, and you look at some of these other things. But an interesting thing I had noticed was on a nonprofit website about population, there was supposed to be a 70% decrease in population in like 2025, and this was in like 2018. I really started paying attention a little bit more, and I was like, what the heck is that? Then all of a sudden, hey, what do we have? Oh, COVID.
Well, the Pfizer CEO actually said it
Well,
by 2025,
yes.
half of the world's population. The guy had a thing in his neck. Do you remember seeing that video? His neck was doing something funny.
Well,
this
here's
guy's neck is
the
like
truth
a
of
lizard.
it. Okay, the truth of it is
You
that
saw that video, right?
no matter what your thoughts are on any kind of vaccine or medical treatment or any of those things, okay? Regardless of if you think it's good or bad or whatever, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your own body. I'm here to tell you that you have the right to say what goes into your body. You have the right to refuse medical treatments, medical experiments. You have the right to refuse that. That is all against the Nuremberg Code. That's all against, the Geneva Convention and all of those other things. You need to have informed consent. If you're not informed, if you don't give your consent, those are all things, you need to have those things, okay? So we've all been out here and we've all been fighting and all of those other things, and like I said, you see all this stuff going on, I'm angry, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going down with the trucks, because we're gonna go shut down Washington DC, I'm done, okay? So I packed my Durango. Now, I am on Durango number 2 at this point in a year.
Yeah, I have to say the truckers are very inspiring, by the way. See what they did. You know?
I didn't know what to expect, so I packed I packed 2 5-gallon buckets. One was lined with trash cans and kitty litter. And another one had a washboard in it and some Castile soap, because I'd be darned if I was going with 30 drawers, okay? Just saying. So I literally brought a washboard, I brought some buckets, I brought my camp stove. My sons and I, we had made a whole bunch of soup at home. We made chicken rice soup, and one of my other girlfriends, she made vegetable beef. And we went to Restaurant Supply, we bought these quart jugs, and my kids wrote "Thank you truckers," wrote what it was, chicken rice, on all of these containers. I had like 4 of those, you know those big cooler bags, ladies? You know which ones I'm talking about? Packed, double stacked. Okay, there were like 16 of those, the big ones. The big ones like this, 2 stacked, 4 bags like that. I also had another giant set of Tupperwares that I had, and my big stock pot, because I had the brilliant idea I was gonna heat this soup up for the trucks. Little did I know. So like I said, we got down to Hagerstown. It was freezing cold. It was March 3rd when we left from, I met them in Harrisburg and I finished the rest of the way down. Like I said, I live in Southeast PA, so I was not driving all the way north to come down the whole way. But I remember calling my mother from the road, because the amount of people on overpasses was unbelievable. And it gave me so much faith and so much hope in the American people, because I had not seen unity like that. I had not seen that kind of pride in our country since 9/11.
Yeah.
You know, it was an amazing thing. I have footage on my personal Facebook page, because at the time, you know, it was just me, like I was a nobody. I'm still a nobody. I'm still just regular like everybody. Like I work for a living, I have my own business. You know, I'm raising my family. I'm trying to get them through high school. I've got a kid going to college. So I'm just like all of you guys, no different. I just had the chutzpah to say, I'm going. And when I got there, it was so cold. And there really wasn't any kind of like major good food options or anything like that. And there were little kids, because there were people who were just inspired. They saw us at the truck stop, they got in their cars and they're like, we're going! And I was like, yeah, come along, this is so great. I had my flag break off at one point. I had my flag on the back of my truck, it broke off. And these guys gave me brand new ratchet straps. They're up on my truck, strapping it down in it so it can hang off the back of my truck for the rest of the drive down. It was amazing to see how this community started coming together, and I called it my block. And that first day, we had a table with a coffee urn and my camp stove. And we put that big stock pot there, and we put that soup out there because it was cold, and there were little kids that were hungry, and I'll be darned if I'm gonna let anybody go hungry when I have the capacity to cook for somebody. All I had, little camp stove. Like I said, folks, nothing special. Had a couple of small fry pans for myself, a cooler, because, you know, I thought we were camping on the Beltway. I had no idea what we were doing. Everybody was all about the location we were ending up at. Met a couple of other people, Jeff, who let us use his truck as a table. Some of my friends, when they came down the next day or two, brought a bunch of other food. And it just started from there. We found more camp stoves. And we found some more pots and pans. And I said, oh, we've got all these tractor trailers that got donated of dry goods. Like, what do we have in here? And I'm making, oh my gosh, Spam with cream soup, veggies, and pasta, and mixing it all up, and everybody's like, yeah, this is so good. And I'm like, ooh. But you know what? When you're cold and when you're hungry and that's what's available, that's what you do. And the truth is that it was my way of honoring all those donations that came in. Because the American people were unbelievably generous. Because the people want their freedom. They want their right to choose. And you know, it's up to us every day to be inspiration to these people. You know, we went from this tiny little, like I said, this tiny little table to, at the end, when Dr. Robert Malone spoke that weekend, we were the only kitchen open for the convoy, because the up top kitchen they needed to use for the raceway, they were getting it ready for race season. We fed about 2,000 people that weekend out of my kitchen. I made 16 pounds of fettuccine Alfredo all alone. My son was there cooking for his 17th birthday. He was in a rig. He got, I think, what did he say, about 3 blocks from the White House till the Secret Service stopped them. He got to celebrate his birthday with us, and he stayed on to cook. And he went and he got to listen to the doctors. And what ended up happening was, you know, the People's Convoy ended up going out west, and then AFC stayed here on the East Coast, and I stayed with them because I believed our fight was here. And I continued to cook for them there on AFC's lot until they decided to pack it up on the national level and go back to their states and start working from home. At that point, I had all of this wonderful donated equipment, all of this food that was donated to us. It was an amazing, amazing experience. We took one of the 53-foot trailers that we had left of all of the dry goods. We were able to donate it to the community in Buffalo that had the mass shooting. I was able to get a truck and trailer donated to drive down, pick it up, the whole 53-foot trailer, and they took it up to Buffalo and they dropped it off there for that community. You know, it was one of those things where I'm really, really proud of that because, you know, it was a way to take those donations that were left over and make sure that they went to something good and something wonderful. We had donated out a bunch of food prior to that where we fed over 40 families Easter dinner and all for Easter week in the Maryland area. You know, we've been able to do a lot of other really wonderful things, but we served last year over 15,000 meals from donated items to Patriots at all different freedom movements across the United States. I traveled over 30,000 miles in my own personal vehicle in from March to December. The stats are actually on the Soup Mama official page for the end of year stats, and I took a screenshot of my Google Maps. You can see how far I made it, the entire East Coast pretty much, all the way out to Branson, out in that area. So we covered a lot of ground in the last year. We ended up taking it and we turned it into a nonprofit so we can continue to support groups like you guys. Because when you go on these different journeys, okay, and when you get called to go different places, you find your niche, you find what you're good at. And I always say that in order to have the best team possible, you have to take the strengths of everyone around you and work to their strengths, to the best of their abilities. Because the only way you have the best team in the world is if you build each other up and you work to each other's strengths. We may not see eye to eye on anything, but if I can respect you for the things that you can do in your best capacity, we can work together. If we can find that one common ground. You know, some of you were, which one was it? Sparta, I think it was, right? Sparta. We had a woman come up to us and have a really, really interesting discussion. Probably one of the best I've had in a long,
We don't
long
want to
time.
say her name.
No, I'm just saying
But
she.
Explain
was-
what happened though. Because that made circulated, that story.
That woman was a concerned citizen in the area, okay? And she's a mother and you know, a local businesswoman, so, you know, she has a big stake in the community, okay? She happens to be a woman of color, and she had a question about one of the signs. So this is something I want to caution you guys on, and we did talk about this a little bit that day. You know, when you're putting a message out there, okay, you want to make sure that you know what message you're putting out there and that you're ready to defend it and defend your beliefs at all costs.
Could you be more specific on what the sign says?
Oh, absolutely. So the sign in question was, the answer to 1984 is 1776.
Right.
Okay? Now, her arguments were valid, and I understood them, okay? Now, am I saying I agree with all of them? No. But I understood where she was coming from, okay? Her argument was about 1776 would be a step back in time, where women didn't have rights, people of color were, you know, 3/5 of a vote, that kind of thing, or 3/5 of a person. So I can understand her point, okay? But again, it went into a different conversation, but the conversation where it led to was, well, how do we change it? Oh, great, here we go. This is the part that we need to get to. We need to get past the divisive part. We need to get past that difference of opinions, and we need to get to the heart of the matter, which is how do we change it? Okay, because we can sit here and we can complain all we want about the things we can say, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? But we have to be active and we have to be smart about it and we have to find ways to change it. And the way to do that, one of the best ways to do that is to start really uniting as a community. So, getting to know your neighbors like you guys here, this is awesome. I'm hoping that you guys hang out outside of here.
Well, a lot of people are busy, but I think knowing conservative black people, I don't call them African American, I call them black. I call them people of color, but not often. I'll call my friends are black. I'll say, you know what, there's enough conservative black people that I have more respect for. Like conservative black people, I'll listen to them before conservative white people because it's such a hard thing to go against what the mainstream pushes for them. So they're usually so well read. Like I like the guy that's got the Confederate flag that knows his history, that's standing. Make the same mistake again, it's stupid. So you erase someone's history, they're gonna make mistakes. That's why they want to take all these statues
History
down.
tends
Because
to
they
repeat
want
itself.
people to
Yes,
not
absolutely.
realize what they had to do. And there was a lot of fight in 1776. That's what that was about. It was about people standing up and saying, no, you're not gonna take our
Correct.
rights away. That's really what it was about. But there are so many black conservatives that if I had a hard time getting to somebody, I'd have a list of them. I'd say, listen, because they're more likely to listen to a person of color of their own, because then they don't think there's any ulterior motive, and it's just easier for them to listen to.
Part of the problem is really the labels, okay? I mean, the truth is, guys, is that labels are used to divide, all right? So I don't care if it's a label of man, woman, trans, whatever. It's a label, and it serves to go, oh, that's your section, that's your box, that's your box. You don't go out of your box. You stay there. You stay with what you know. You stay with what you like. We're going to put you in, and we're going to put you this. No matter if you're a square peg trying to go in a round hole, it doesn't matter. I don't fit in a box. I'm not Republican or Democrat.
Well, I think the evil in them, what they're doing to the kids is pure evil. They're stealing the innocence. I have gay friends. And we're on the same page about what they're talking
Right.
to the
Okay,
kids
but
about.
see, again, you're using a lot of big generalizations here. And when you do that, that serves to alienate in a way too. So the idea is when you're having a conversation, like you're using black conservative, you're using, that kind of a term. Okay, yeah, that's great, but it still serves to divide. What I'm saying is that we're all a human race. Okay, so we need to put those labels aside. We need to stop using those when we're talking about people. They're human. So like I said, this woman, she's a businesswoman, she's a mother, she's a person in the community that is actively interested in what's going on and what's happening with where her kids are growing up. Okay, and the truth is the more labels we throw at each other, because her and I could have stood there all day throwing labels back and forth. For those that heard the conversation, there were very tense words going back and forth, but you have to get past the label part. You have to get out of those boxes, and you have to start really reaching across and saying, you're no different than me. The thing that struck the most with her and I was the fact that she cares for her children and where they're growing up, and I care for my children and what the world that they're growing up in. That's where we can find that common ground.
And your kids are about the same age, hers and yours?
I have no idea. Okay, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter. I care about your kids and her kids and my nieces and my nephews and everybody's grandmas and aunts and uncles. It doesn't matter. I care about everyone. Because we all are fundamentally human and we all have the same fundamental rights. And we should have the same fundamental freedoms no matter where we call home in the world. It doesn't matter. Like I said, these labels, when we use these labels, we can't get past the label. That only serves to incite, because it creates a feeling. And when you get in your feelings, you can't get to the facts. And the fact of the matter is that we all need to find that common ground, no matter how hard it is. And those, again, that heard the conversation, when we left, when that woman and I parted, we parted as friends. And I told her, despite the fact that her political views may be totally different than mine, if she ever ran for office, I would come out and support her. Why? Because she's passionate about making change. She's passionate about wanting something better. Okay? We may not always agree on how to get there, but she was open-minded enough to hear the conversation because we were able to get past the labels. That's what I'm saying. We have to put those aside. You have to be ready to have those conversations, and even the tough ones when they come at you, because realistically, when she started part of that conversation and turned it into the race thing, it could have been a whole long discussion on that. But that's not what the discussion was truly about. The discussion is, how do we change it? The how is by getting involved locally. The how is by stopping, okay, there's an international boycott, for those of you that don't know, that's going to be starting again February 9th. Goes to the end of the month. There are over 30 different countries involved. How many of you have heard of it?
Nope. What's it called?
It's international boycott, worldwide international boycott. That's what it's called. It's on my page.
February 9th?
There's a flyer. Yeah. If you check, it's on Telegram, it's on Facebook, it's all over the place. Yeah. Don't buy from the big box stores. Buy from your mom and pop shops. Buy from your farmers. Learn a new skill. Like, learn how to make your own soap at home. You know, these kinds of things. What we're trying to do is you try and support your local community. Spend cash, don't use your cards. Okay? Because we want to prevent the central banking digital currency. Yes, dear.
So is that the same as the globalwalkout.com?
No. It's this is a little bit different. Global Walkout is another one that's Bethan, I believe. But she's part of that. Up in Canada there. That's she was part of that group.
That's right, yeah.
I believe.
It's in the UK.
But they're the ones that said, keep cash
Yeah, there's
alive.
certain they have the different steps and stuff. Like I said, I know Bethan was sharing some of that up in Canada. But this is a little bit different. The first time around, it was a week, and they affected 3 different stores. I know Dollar General and Walmart were 2 of them. I can't remember the third one off the top of my head.
Local is Costco.
It is on their group on Facebook, so you can check it out. They did post that information there. But what I'm saying is that we can all contribute every single day, and that's the idea of this is definitely to teach people like where your money is going. So the more you continue to spend at these big corporations, the more they're going to send your money out to places like Washington to lobby as special interests for all of the legislation that's crushing everybody to death. Okay, so if you stop spending your money at the big box stores, you stop spending your money at these big conglomerates, and you use your money and you fund the people in your community, those small businesses, you keep their lights on, you keep their kids going to dance class, you get to know some of your neighbors, and hey, that lady makes soap. Oh, well, that person over there raises chickens. Those are a precious commodity right now. And there's a really interesting news article about chicken eggs on the Soup Mama official page I put there today. You might want to check it out. About that and some colds that go around. It's kind of interesting. So make sure you check that out, guys, because it's kind of cool, kind of good read.
Is that from the NIH?
Yes, it is. So make sure you're checking that out. Also, for those of you that don't know, if you've been following at all, the Brunson petition, anybody heard of that?
Yes.
The Brunson brothers? Okay. Well, if you see they're on the docket, I posted that too. Yes, again, they're on the docket again. So that's definitely something that you want to watch. There's a lot going on in a lot of the different states. I know for a fact that New York, they're doing a lot with the audits for the elections and things like that. Guys, the idea is, you know, you come together in a big group like this, you decide, like, these are the things that we want to really go after, okay? Whether it's your school board, okay, what's going on in the schools, and quite frankly, guys, I know in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure about here in Jersey, but in Pennsylvania, now you have to opt out of programs. You don't opt in anymore.
Right.
You opt out.
It's the same here.
You really need to really start paying attention to their curriculum. I know in the last school year, you know, my son had a section on BLM in his one class where he sent me screenshots from his class. I love them. About how they were 90% peaceful protests, along with, you know, the screenshot of that. He goes, "Mom, they're killing me." He said, "Did they not remember they burned half the country?" Yeah, that's my kid. So again, you need to pay attention to what they're teaching your kids in the school. You need to make sure you know what programs are going on. And if you don't like them, you have options. Okay, you can
Well, we have
always.
several people are homeschooling.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of people who are going to the homeschooling route, and quite frankly, I salute you. Yes, I do.
I think it goes a step further than that. I'm gonna tell you the God's honest truth. I've been a pizza delivery guy for a while. Wrote every song I wrote delivering pizza. Cash is king. I have delivered to nursery schools where the kids get giddy and the words out of the young teachers, not teachers, just young kids like babysitters, freeze up against the wall. Who in their right mind would say that to a kid unless they're getting a booklet on how to talk to kids? It gets better. Years later, the place I'm working for now, I hear an elderly woman tell the kids anywhere but the sun. It was a sunny day and there's some shade out in the parking lot. Anywhere but the sun. I felt like walking over to her right there and said, name me one elderly person in your lifetime that ever told you anywhere but the sun. You're depriving these kids of vitamin D. So there's no way that that came from Mrs. Collette. There's no way. Just like those kids down in, those teachers down in Palm Plains that said freeze up against the wall. There's a handbook that's being out there for nurseries on how to talk to kids, because you can't convince me that Colette came up with that. Mrs. Colette, that's been there since 1971, her own words, anywhere but the sun. Why would you want to deprive a kid of vitamin D coming from the sun, the healthiest way you can
They
get?
put litter boxes in some school districts. So, I mean,
Yep,
like,
I heard that.
we're, okay, so what I'm saying is that, okay, and everything you're saying is valid. What I'm saying is that the way to prevent it and the way to change it is to get active at the school boards. You know, how many of you guys know your town mayors? Okay, so there's a couple, all right, that's promising. Mayors.
We did, they voted
But again, you should see everybody's hand go in the air. You know, you should know. Right here, go get Eric, go get Eric. You should know.
Mr. Mayor.
She's very shy.
Like I said, you guys should know the people on your school board. You guys should know them. I don't give a shit.
Is he coming?
But,
Is Eric coming?
You know?
Yeah.
Who gives a ass about how he's just waiting?
It's all right. We'll invite him another time.
yeah, it's all right. You don't want to.
But he's actually, I invited him already.
If he wants to come over, he can come over, you know?
It's okay. You don't want to.
Oh,
well.
We'll bring him back. We'll do another meeting around it.
But yeah, so like I said, guys, the idea is that you need to really be active locally. You need to start really paying attention to what's going on in your town. Like I said, it all starts with community. You know, yeah, you can protest at the national level, and yes, you can protest at the state level. But most assuredly, it starts in our backyards. Okay? And it really does start at home. So you need to really pay attention to what's going on in your towns, what's going on in your districts, so that you guys can be informed. And you know, maybe you don't have kids in the school district anymore, but I'm sure that you have family that does have kids in a school district somewhere, and that's going to affect them. And we have to remember that the children are the next generation. They're the ones that are going to be stuck dealing with everything that we leave behind. You know, so we have to make sure that we're leaving them something worthwhile. You know, like my kids, like I grew up, okay, when I grew up, I was like the last generation to actually have true privacy. You know, before all the cell phones. Well, I'm actually what they call that zennial. You know, because of like where I fall, like, right, but my grandparents, like I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, so I'm more like, you know what I mean, like, more like a boomer, like Gen X and the millennial. Well, more like a Gen X, seriously, you have no millennial thing, I don't understand all of that. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I grew up, you know, in a different kind of setting where I grew up with an older set of values and morals and things like that in a different time. You know, now you can't go outside without 20 cameras on you at any given time.
Spoils the fun.
We have no real privacy anymore.
Right.
You know, and this is the legacy that we're leaving to our children in the name of safety.
How are their kids even missing if there's a billion cameras out there? I'm gonna say here, you defund the police, you'll end human trafficking.
Well, yeah,
That's
again,
it. There's no way human trafficking can get
But
done with all the.
if we're paying
police.
attention in our communities, it wouldn't be happening either. If you think about it, if you know all your neighbors, and you know everybody that's supposed to be in your town, you know who the strangers are. When was the last time you guys went up and just knocked on your next door neighbor's door? I bet you it was like 1980 something. Seriously. Now you get to your friend's house, what do? You don't knock on their door, you call them from the phone or you send them a text and say, hey, I'm here. So they open the door for you. Think about that for a second. We're not paying attention to our front porches anymore. Maybe we should.
I stopped watching TV a long time ago.
Oh,
A long time
But what I'm
ago.
saying is that, you know, well, and that's great, but you also have to get out into the community and you have to start interacting on a human level. You know, part of the reason that they wanted to keep us 6 feet apart is because when you're within 3 feet of somebody,
You're talking.
your heart talks to their heart,
Yeah.
okay? I don't know if you guys know that,
Yeah.
but it does.
Attraction is?
What?
Is that like the law of attraction?
Well, no, it's actually frequency.
It's scientific.
It's frequency, and scientifically, it's an immune booster. Community is an immune booster, just like sunlight,
Right.
just like laughter.
I
That's
was felt
why
the
they
same way.
wanted
They
to-
didn't want us talking about how crazy this whole thing was.
Well, because
Stay in your house and be.
it's a sick system, not a well system.
Yeah, criminal
And, you know, we
justice.
have to be smarter than that. That's why I said, what it comes down to is your community and learning, you know, doing your research, you know, doing your homework. Take 5 seconds. Don't use Google, use DuckDuckGo. But, you know, you have to find more interesting information and more relevant information. But start looking at like true medicines and food as medicine, what you're actually putting into your body. Look at the labels on your food. If it has sugar in the first 3 ingredients, you probably shouldn't eat it because sugar is actually a toxin.
Shop the outer section, the
Yeah,
outer part of
the outer part of the grocery store, because everything in the middle isn't real food. Absolutely. You know, that, like I said, guys, it's paying attention to those things and helping, you know, just the conversations. Like I said, the conversation with that woman on the street, you know, when she left, she was smiling, I was smiling. Okay? She knew that we weren't her enemy anymore. Okay? Maybe we aren't gonna be best friends, but we're definitely, she knew we weren't enemies. And she knows that, hey, you know, like if there's something, like at least she knows, look, if there's something that really is threatening your community and your kids in your community or whatever, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to stand up with you guys. Because there was that communication there. And like I said, it's the communication that's key. You know, getting out, showing people, you know, hey, we're here, that's awesome. You guys doing these standouts on the corners is amazing. You know, like I said, but you wanna funnel them into the group, you wanna try and do some things, like maybe you wanna do something where you, get out, like, you know, get people to register to vote, something that's completely nonpartisan. You know, where you guys can talk to your community then, you know? Set up something, you know, print out the paperwork to help them, you know, and just help them fill it out so that they can register to vote. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? But it's something that you guys can do to help better your community. And you can talk to them then about some of the issues going on. You gotta make sure you're showing up at the meetings, you gotta make sure that you're organizing those things and putting them together. And when you have a great group like this is an awesome amount of people just from one small area to show up tonight. That means you guys are all passionate about your families, your community, and where you're living. You know, so you need to take that passion too, and like I said, as a group, you know, maybe you guys wanna start picking some areas, like in the problem areas in your community, and really start working towards those as a unit. And like I said, use each other's strengths to make the best team possible. You know, and as you go, you're gonna meet another amazing people, and you're gonna be able to bring them into the fold and be able to use their gifts and talents too. You know, and that's really, like I said, what it's all about. And, you know, you guys, if you have events and things like that going on, I'll be there. I'll help you. I'll set up a kitchen, I'll cook, we'll have a great time. Barbecue or whatever, you know, who knows? But guys, thank you so much for this opportunity to come here. I had such a wonderful time getting to really hang out with some of you guys at the standouts. This is really amazing, getting to see a bunch of new faces, and I hope I get a chance to talk to you guys all before I leave. Do any of you guys have questions about anything? Like, is there anything you want to know?
Is that your truck out there with the flags on the back?
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am. Those flags have been on since Missouri, since the Convoy of Honor.
Drag the interstate.
Oh, very nice.
Up and down the whole state. Now you make me want to go for mine.
Oh, I love it. Mine are on all the time, anywhere I go. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, what's going on in Pennsylvania?
What's going on in Pennsylvania where I'm
You
at?
guys with, you know, these kinds of groups and stuff like that.
Okay, so Pennsylvania actually has a ton of different groups. There's Unite PA, there's Free PA. They actually have been doing, so what they've been doing lately is there's over 75 Patriot groups in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah, so this past year they did 2 really, really big events. One was out in Bloomsburg. I was actually, yeah, there was 2 really big ones that I was at, where it was a coalition of these 75 plus groups. that put on some events. I actually got to see Hunter Biden's laptop, so that was kind of cool. Oh, yes, yeah. There's some amazing pictures, amazing people that I've met. Like I cooked for the Reawaken America tour in Batavia, New York, and I got to meet Mike Lindell and General Michael Flynn. Dr. Stella. Yeah, so I've met some really, really amazing patriots. Mel Kay is one I met in Pennsylvania at the Reawaken America tour there. Scott McKay is another wonderful, awesome patriot. I've had the pleasure of being able to see some of these people just because of, cooking and doing the thing that I do with the kitchen. But like I said, Pennsylvania has a lot of different groups. They're working on the audits, there's actually people working on the stuff in the schools. So if you have family in Pennsylvania where you were interested in getting them connected, I can always give you information for those guys. It's all stored in the phone. And hook you up with the people that are active for whatever area in particular of concern. So that's, like I said, they have a lot going on, but they've been kind of pooling together to do some bigger events and get some bigger names out to get more awareness out. Yes, honey?
We discussed it many meetings ago, that maybe there'd be a way that a bunch of patriot groups could all get together and do a big event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then we could network with each other and learn more and get things accomplished. And maybe we can work with you to do a big event.
Absolutely.
To pull some of the New Jersey patriot groups together.
Yeah.
And have a place to meet where you could cook and
Yeah,
we can all do whatever we do. Dave could bring some baby lambs for everyone to pet.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the idea is being able to reach out to some of these other groups too, to network some and really impact some bigger change. And that's what I said. It's all about, getting out, communicating with everybody, getting to know everybody. Because when you have those conversations and you start reaching out to those groups, that's when you really start getting things moving so that you can get things changed.
Can I ask you a question? Dr. Robert Malone, sorry, I cut in front of you. Did he have any security detail around him? Because he's one of the doctors, you all know who that is?
Yes, he did. Okay, so when it comes to that, I know he did. I didn't actually get to see, so that weekend was, again, we were the only kitchen, and I was cooking under canopies outside, and we had hail, rain, sleet, sunshine, all in the same day when the doctors were there and I was cooking outside. And like I said, I was feeding that many people. I know because I sent my son, that was his assignment. He absolutely, for him to stay that weekend, I told him he absolutely had to go hear Dr. Malone speak. So he actually went, but I do know, that was in Hagerstown, Maryland. Yeah, with the People's Convoy. I do know they had a security detail on him because there were security detail up at the stage for absolutely everybody. But I do know he was only there for a short time and then left. So, I don't know all the details just because I was busy cooking. Like I said, 16 pounds of fettuccine Alfredo alone. It was pretty crazy, yeah. Yes,
where do you get your money? How do you fundraise to buy all this food that you
Well,
It never costs
actually,
money.
the food mostly is donated.
Oh, is
believe
it
it or
from
not.
what,
So,
kitchens and churches and?
Actually from all kinds of people, everyday
okay.
people. So like I said, when we donated out that trailer of the dry goods, we actually had we ended up with donations at Batavia that pretty much filled another 53-foot trailer of dry goods. So we've been very fortunate. When we were in Missouri, we had a local butcher. They donated 2 big boxes of meat to us. We do have everything stored in cold storage or dry goods storage, wherever. But we've actually been very, very fortunate where people who have donated or whatever. Most of the people that donate, if they give us cash or whatever, it goes for propane, it goes for gasoline. I have not taken any fuel reimbursement. So all of the driving I said I did, that over 30,000 miles, it's like 32 or 33,000 miles, something like that, came out of my own pocket. Everyone in the kitchen, everyone that works with the kitchen, we are all volunteer. We have never been paid. We have not taken gas reimbursements. We actually put out of our own pockets to supply most of the kitchen equipment that wasn't donated to us, including the big 10x20 canopies. Our tractor trailer truck driver donates his time, his rig, his fuel. which is a huge bill.
Yeah.
So we do everything, like I said, we do everything out of the goodness of our hearts. I'm not here to make a dime. Okay, I really am not. Like I said, I run my own business. I sell cosmetics. That's what I do for a living. I used to waitress too, but I'm not home enough for that anymore. So yeah, we do all of this. Like I said, when we figured it out, when we run an event with the kitchen, it costs us roughly $300 a day. And that does not include things like the insurance for the truck and other incidentals, the fuel to get there, that kind of stuff. That's just, what we use in food, fuel, equipment, and the like. That's actually all broken down.
Do you pay for insurance for your business in case someone falls or they choke on something and they blame it on you? Do you have like personal insurance for your nonprofit?
All of that stuff is like okay. So all of the paperwork is filed. To be perfectly transparent, all of the paperwork is filed. We're waiting for the EIN, and all of that stuff will come along with the EIN. That's all. But I have my ANSI cert. Like I have all my food service certifications and all that. I'm certified across the nation. I've been in food service for over 20 years. So I've managed different restaurants. I've actually done a lot of short order cooking and that kind of thing. So everything that we do is actually compliant. Stitch, who is one of the members of our kitchen, he is an amazing man. He built us a huge electrical panel to put all, like with our 2 big generators so that we can power everything. He built us a custom on-demand hot water 3-basin sink, 3-compartment sink with a hand washing station. Like I said, we have thermometers in all of our equipment, our refrigerators, freezers, everything. We have everything to temp, just like you would a normal restaurant. We're just outside.
Life begins at 40.
Yeah. Yes, it
Have you ever considered running for office?
Okay, so I did a couple years ago. Well, here's the thing. I thought about it for a long time. So when I was really young and I was in high school, I had the privilege, sort of, kind of, my parents sent me to Catholic school because I was a bad girl. Okay, so that's really what happened. But that was, I went there. So it was a privilege, and it wasn't, sort of. But when I was in high school, my senior year, I had this really, really amazing government teacher named Mr. Murphy. And I will never forget that class, because he was very, passionate about everything with government. He actually taught us real history. And I will never forget, because even to this day, I never looked. I could probably go look and find out very easily, but it would just sort of ruin it for me at this point, so I'm just gonna leave it a mystery. But when I was in high school, one of the last exams we had at the end of the school year, and I thought it was really cool, there was a bonus question for extra credit. Now, if you answered it, everybody got a bonus point, okay? So what he did was he asked, was he a Republican or Democrat? To this day, unless I go look, and I don't want to do it because I just don't want to do it, I don't want to ruin anything, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that is the best government teacher in the world. And truthfully, he was the inspiration for me to sign up and vote, sign up to register and vote at 18. Now, did I do a lot with politics when my kids were young? No, I was a young mom, and I'll tell you what, I struggled. I worked really crappy jobs. I worked 2-3 jobs at a time. I had family babysitting my son, and I struggled as a single mom for a long time. I didn't have time to really, I was mad. I would read about it, and I was mad, and I said 20 years ago, I was like, there's gonna be a run on the banks. We're gonna see another Great Depression. Everybody's like, yeah, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not. History repeats itself, folks. So I didn't have a lot of time, but I always tried to kind of, read and educate myself on the side. Obviously, it was a little difficult. Now, when COVID shut the world down, they shut down the restaurants, so I had no restaurant job. They shut down all the non-essential stores, so since I sell cosmetics, well, I wasn't essential to anybody but my children who needed to eat.
And women.
Right. Well, so I had my online business, so the online part. So I actually was working 60+ hours, but what I did was I started putting on different podcasts and things like that. And that's when I really started getting back into some of the knowledge that I had from before, and I'm like, oh wow, and here we are, now I'm connecting all these other dots. And like I said, when you start coming for my kids, that's where I really, that's when I really,
Mama Bear.
That's the thing, you know, like here's the thing, like a lot of conservative or people that lean more towards the conservative side, you know, we just want to be left alone. I just wanted to raise my family, I just wanted to run my business, like chill out in my house and my, you know, laugh at the people going to Walmart in their pajamas, because I'm like, don't y'all remember how to get dressed in the morning? You know, that kind of thing. I just wanted to be that mom, you know, like, you know, go to my kids' sporting events, show up for the things I need to, just live my life. And I was okay with that. But when you start telling me that I have to put a mask on my kids, and I have to wear one where I can't breathe without feeling like I'm gonna pass out, like I told people flat out, if you want me to wear it, fine, but you're paying all my medical bills when I hit the floor. You know, when it starts coming to that where somebody's trying to tell me what I can and cannot do with my body, what I do with this is between me and the man upstairs. It has nothing to do with anybody else. And if it's medical, me, the man upstairs, and my doctor.
What
Okay?
happened to my body, my choice?
It seems
Exactly.
like that. The people that were against the vaccination, you'd have to hold them down. There's nothing you could do to talk to someone. It's almost like those are the people that have a voice inside their head saying, don't do it. And everyone else was just like, boom,
Well,
sit
here's
down. Oh, I'm
the
scared, I'm
thing,
scared.
you know, again, okay, so you have to understand that in TVs, for example, they have mind control technology that's been patented since the 60s.
Mom.
Your phones have the same thing. Facebook execs, they told us a few years ago, we won't let our kids on there. Why? It's a hit of dopamine every time you get a like. Okay? You have places in, what is it, Japan, that they have like detox from this crap right now. Literally. It's designed to control you. It's designed to control what's up here. Critical thinking is one of those things that sadly is lacking in a lot of modern day. So you have to start, like I said, you got to start small with the conversation. You got to plant seeds, because that's really what it's about. You got to get somebody to stop and question it. Once they start questioning, that's the key. You've got to get them to question. Once they start questioning,
You know what
you can go from there.
I tell people, I say, the first thing about going down these rabbit holes is don't ever ask why would they. You gotta start asking why wouldn't they. Look at everything they've done to us.
Your
Why
government
wouldn't
hasn't
they?
failed you, it's trying to kill you.
You know, like, why wouldn't they? Like, don't put it past them at this point.
Well, like I said, you know, one of my favorite sayings is that when you live in an age where information is at your fingertips, okay? Right here. Right here. Information at your fingertips. Ignorance is a choice.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yes, cognitive dissonance is a real thing. And you know what? That's really hard for a lot of people to get past. You know, and you gotta understand, like, yeah, we might be frustrated because we might have been awake for a while, but not everybody has been, and you can't just hit them over the head with a baseball bat. Sometimes you just gotta use some kid gloves.
Well, know that they've actually done studies and they've asked people about 9/11, whether or not, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty of what really happened that day. And you know what the sad thing is? Most people, they're like, I just kind of want to forget about it.
Well, and
Sad but
that's the
true.
thing. The thing about people is that they are forgetful. So we have to stay vigilant, and we have to be able to present facts and information. So, you know, when we see these things happening, like I said, like in our communities, you gotta start making a list of, hey, we went here, we did this, here we did this, here we did this. Like I said, if you check my page, for example, on that end of year information, there is an entire list of every single event that was attended by a member of the kitchen, what event it was, the date, the city, who sponsored it, and who was there from the kitchen. Why? It's accountability. Because people have entrusted me to stand up in their stead and be a voice and, you know, cook and feed the freedom fighters. So that accountability, you know, right there is your accountability. So when you have a group like this and you guys are trying to make a change, you want to make sure you're noting all those things, because then when you start going after these people, well, here's your accountability. We were here, we were here, we were here, we were here. When do you start listening? Then you can show your neighbors that aren't willing to listen. Listen, we've been bringing this. If you had an issue and you brought it this many times, how long would you wait to be heard? Because the thing is that everybody can understand when things are being tilted. You know what I'm saying? They can understand when it's unfair. And what you have to do is make sure that you explain to them that if they can do that to you, they can do it to them later on. There's a poster that I take with me all over the US. My mother made it. my mother and her group of Lancaster County Patriots that, you know, included Ross's mom, which was pretty cool. It's hung over the overpass when they did the donation run from Morgantown to Valley Forge. And it's an American flag, and it has the poem "They Came for the Jews" on it.
Yeah.
Our Constitution is not just for me, it's not just for you, and it's not just for the people we agree with. Okay? The Constitution of the United States of America is for absolutely everyone, whether we agree with them or not. Our country was founded on diversity, and we are supposed to celebrate that right to disagree. We need to remind our countrymen that that is what we're celebrating. That's what we get to unify under. We get to unify under diversity. We are different than every other country in the world because of that. And there is no reason that people, whether you're independent, Republican, Democrat, left, right, sideways, upside down, whatever, that we can't agree that America is supposed to be founded on the right to disagree. And we should celebrate this every day.
Every other word. If I say Trump, I'll say, you know what, at this point, it's not even about him, it's about our Constitution. If we lose that, we got a new world order. So, you know, don't wait for him. It's basically, I think it's about like which side is more towards freedom and which side is more towards just whatever comes down the pipe from the world. All these, they gotta go. The World Economic Forum, it's a group of nine people.
But here's the thing. The way to get rid of them is you stop giving them your money, because money is power. Cash is king. You said it earlier. Cash is king. Money is power. You give your money to these big corporations, to these conglomerates, to those people that fund those people, you're giving your power away. If you give your money to your local communities, to your neighbors that are making things or producing or whatever, and you give it directly to those small businesses, you are using your power to keep your power in your community. You know, your sheriff has the right to throw the federal government out, right?
Yeah.
I know, it comes down to him, so anything he sees coming
So
from
what
the
I'm
United
saying
Nations,
is
he
that,
just rejects.
exactly, so you guys talk about all these big things from the WHO and all that, but guess what? Your sheriff has the right to protect you.
Nope, not in New Jersey. Not in New Jersey.
Well, then let's get on the legislation to change it, all right? That's how it gets done.
They also can't change it.
You can't change it. Well, we'll have to talk about that, because I'm really curious to see how this
I
works.
saw something on the New Jersey Constitution last night.
Well, I'll have to, like I said, there's a lot I miss as I go. There's a lot of states, everybody's a little bit different. But like I said, you know, there are ways to influence change, and I'm sure if it was changed once, there's a way to change it back. Okay, because if you have, let's just say you have all of New Jersey behind you and changing it back, they're not gonna leave it the way it is.
How'd
That's
Murphy
where-
get in again?
That's
He's a
where.
pedophile.
Wait a minute,
All those
okay, but
charges in
this
Italy.
is where that unity comes into play, guys. When you're talking about reaching out to the other groups. That's where you know, that's how you do this. You network with those people, and then instead of taking just this, you know, group here. You know, let's say we take 30 people from this group, but you reach out to another grassroots group, they've got another 30, and you reach out, they reach out to two more, they have 50. Well, now you've got 160. Now you all go marching down and say, hey, there's 160 of us. They're gonna they're gonna be more apt to listen to 160 than they are 30.
Yeah.
The way to do it is, we have to get out of our comfort zones, and we have to start reaching out to other groups. That's why I said, you know, pick the issues in your communities. You know, you guys, I'm assuming, all live pretty close together. You know, pick the most important issues in your communities, and as a group, start going for it. You know, figure out what your talents are. If somebody's got the time to make all the phone calls, let them write. If somebody's good at writing emails, let them write the emails. If somebody's a good website designer, let them do the flyers. Put together a rally or a standout or a little booth somewhere in a park and say, hey, we're gonna do this today.
Purina should be boycotted, whatever, cat food, dog food, for what they just.
Oh my
had.
God.
Find out what companies were selling this blanks, where all the chickens were eating, but they weren't producing. Whatever company it is, Purina, there's a few other ones.
Anything
Just find
Purina.
out whatever they make and just vote with your dollar, like with Goodyear.
And that's
with
how it
Goya,
works.
like when their stock went down when the whole thing, you know,
Yeah.
you kind of vote with your money. Don't buy it. There's other choices out there. Your dog's gonna have to eat.
You know, the sad part is, I watched all the big stores come in and destroy Main Street.
Yeah.
You know, through the 80s and
Well,
90s.
and think
Hardware
about it,
stores
what
disappeared.
wasn't
This
done
store
then,
disappeared.
they just did. Remember when they shut down everybody? Who did they shut down? They shut down those small businesses. They didn't shut down Walmart. They didn't shut down Home Depot. They didn't shut down Lowe's. They shut down Ma and Pa on the corner there that was, giving
Okay,
the community
okay,
their
well,
lumber for the last 30
I gotta ask
years.
everyone a question here, and this has been burning me for a while, because Derlin Farms once owned Quick Check. It was sold for $650 million. The grandfather started it, okay? It does $1 billion a year. I don't go to Quick Check. I'm glad I go to Wawa, but I bet you if I went to the Wawa place and say, listen, here's a $5,000 check, I want an American flag, even if you're not a patriot, I think it would go great, because there ain't a Quick Check out there that's got an American flag. And I stopped going to Quick Check because of that. I'm glad there's a
Well,
Wawa, but
you
they're
know,
probably owned by
it's-
BlackRock anyway.
You could, instead of doing the big chains, you could go to a small mom and pop.
That's what I do, but I will go to Wawa because I like their buffalo chicken.
You know, that local garage down the street.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I will not go to
Cents
Quick Check
extra for
because
gas, but that's
every
their
Quick Check, there's like
livelihood.
10 delis that
Right.
don't exist now. For every Quick Check, there's 10 mom and pop stores that do not exist.
Right.
They're just out of control.
But that's the same as Home Depot, it's the same as Walmart,
So-
the same as the destroyed.
So like I said, guys, there's the international boycott that's going on in February. Okay, so that's one way that you guys can all participate and all contribute no matter where you're at. So you can do it from home, wherever, if you're on vacation, wherever location you're at, you can do that. That's something simple. It doesn't require any money. It doesn't require any traveling. The other really, really big date, the next really big date that's coming up is February 18th. Okay? It is a worldwide Unity Day. I don't know if you guys know that, but there are over 100 locations globally. Every single state, except for Kentucky, I think it is, because theirs is canceled. Every single state has a rally at their capital. Some of those states have convoys to the capitals. There are, like I said, there are locations all over the globe. Canada has the World Unity Convoy up in Winnipeg. They're also having, Chris Sky is also doing Reunite Ontario, I believe it is, over in Ottawa. There's all kinds of big stuff going on up there. Like I said, there's places in Japan and all over the world that are also participating in that Worldwide Unity Day. And like I said, they're having rallies at all the different state capitals, so that might be something cool to check out and where you guys can start connecting with some of the other groups.
What is
to
the
reach
theme
out.
for that?
It
Is there a
is
theme?
freedom, yeah, world unity, worldwide unity, for freedom for everybody. All of the information, all the flyers are on my page, and you can actually check out their website directly. I think it's worldwidefreedomrally.com or something like that. But they stand for 5 basic freedoms for all of humankind. Is basically what the Unity Day is all about. And like I said, there will be people standing all over. There were a couple earlier in the year. One of them, I was actually fortunate enough to be in Port Huron, Michigan. We had our Canadian friends across the bay, and we were on the other side yelling with bullhorns and stuff back and forth and celebrating. So yeah, and that was one of the last Unity Days. There was another one in New York that I went to up in Long Island. So they do have them like every other month or something like that. But as you go, it's been gaining a lot of traction, and there's a lot of really, really big events. And February is huge because, like I said, we do have the 1-year anniversary of the Ottawa convoy, and that's a really big, huge freedom celebration. And of course, the United States convoy will be celebrating its 1-year anniversary very, very shortly at the beginning of March. So,
The states that you've been to,
yes.
which one would you say you've seen, let's just say the most patriots? The most patriotic, the most groups, the most people getting together? Just curious.
Oh boy. Well, that's kind of tough.
Or I mean, even if there's 2 or 3, I mean, that's fine. I'm
Well,
just curious.
okay, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I have been spending a lot of time in New York. But New York is a huge state. Now, and when I say New York, I'm talking
Upstate.
I'm talking all over New York. I'm talking up by Niagara, I'm talking up by Albany, I'm talking out on the island. Like, these guys are everywhere. And they are loud and they are proud. They're really amazing people. They've been out doing all kinds of rallies, all kinds of convoys. They get behind some of their political candidates. They're very active in their communities. They're really good about trying to help people that are trying to further, you know what I mean? The goals, like, you know, to push back against Hochul and some of the Democrats and things with all of their policies in New York with the, you know, like the 2A stuff and all that. I mean, New York's a little rough. So they have a lot going on. So like I said, there's a ton of groups there. Like I said, Pennsylvania's another big one, but that's my home state, not unfortunately.
Before we move and leave off of New York and talk about something different, Gerald Celente, Trends Journal, he's from Buffalo. Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't heard from him in particular.
Gerald
but-
Celente, he's got a lot of fire, and he doesn't
Okay.
have such a clean mouth, but he writes the Trends Journal, he's up in Buffalo. You should go up there. If you're in the area, you should stop by
I'm in
his
Buffalo
place. It's
quite
that old
often,
building.
so I'll
I
have
don't know,
to check it
I
out.
mean, he's kind of entertaining, you gotta think like,
I've been
Strolls a little
spending
bit
more
like
of my
your
time
grandfather.
in New York with, like the Belmore Patriots. I've also spent a lot of time with, the North American Unity Tour, which is teamed up with the New York State Audit. So a lot of their stuff has been focused on the election integrity up in New York, and I've heard that there are some big things coming down the line from that, and that they're gonna be starting to organize Pennsylvania to start, like I said, they were canvassing county by county up there, doing a lot of amazing work, as far as that goes. But Missouri has a lot of rallies, let's see, where else? California, surprisingly, I've seen a lot of flyers for California. And that kind of shocks me a little bit, but I keep reposting them now. I'm like, hey, if y'all are gonna get out, man, like, let's do it. I have not been to any of those yet. That's a little bit further than what I've traveled. But Missouri was also, that was another really great place. Mona did the Convoy of Honor. It was the first one. She did it this past year, and we had some really decent participation. But the support from the town, once they figured out what we were there and what we were doing and what we were celebrating with the vets and all that, the town really started to get behind us. So next year is going to be a much bigger event. And like I said, that's Veterans Week out there. So, you know what I mean? It just really depends, you know, like I said, there's a lot of states doing a lot of different things. Like I know, what was it? Illinois had a bunch of stuff going on. The Dakotas have a bunch of stuff going on.
The New England states.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. So New Hampshire is like a happening little state, man. They got a lot going on up there. Yeah, there's what is it? The group is like the Resolve Initiative, I believe it is. There's also in Connecticut, there's a young lady I met, Phoebe. I met her at Yale. There was a rally against the mandates at Yale. And Phoebe was 16 when she was accepted to the University of Connecticut, and she had all kinds of top-notch, I mean, she was a top-notch scholar. She had all kinds of scholarships, things like that. She refused the vaccine, she refused the testing, she gave them all of the information. They suspended her enrollment and they took all of her scholarships away. So she started a nonprofit, and she's been going to the colleges, trying to get the college kids all on board. And her and I have some plans, hopefully, when spring starts rolling around, gets a little warmer, to start working together a little bit more out on the college campuses too, to, you know, try and get some of these kids on board. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that are happening. You know, so it's kind of tough to say which state is more active than another state. I mean, like Tennessee is really active too. I know a lot of great Patriots down that way. You know, so it's one of those things where, again, a lot of it is trying to get these smaller groups that are in existence to start reaching out to one another and start really doing the networking part, so that, you know, you have more people moving in the same direction to focus their energy to make that change.
Did you hear anything about the bank accounts of the truckers on our side being messed with? I mean, Pen Pal laid off like 2,500 people. If you disagree with their, like.
Not to my knowledge.
Because you know that happened up there, right? They,
Yes, I know that, that did not happen.
So that's good, that's
to my
kind of like,
knowledge here.
kind of like a pushback, because it kind of blew up in their face. We kind of saw what kind of future they want, where they, if you don't agree
Well,
with them, they
that's-
just turn off your funds.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of those funds, weren't sent that way here in the United States. They did set things up differently
So
for
they go
the
around it.
convoy. Yeah, because they saw what happened in Canada, so it gave them a better idea of how to set things up here.
And were you welcome by the police? Did they try to take your fuel? Like, I mean, like what we saw in Canada, did that happen here? 'Cause I didn't see much about this convoy, but I saw a
No, they
lot
did
of
not
the
try
other-
and take our fuel, but I actually have video footage, where the police were the ones, the Capitol Police were literally blocking all the off-ramps going into town. So they actually created the traffic congestion, made it even worse by blocking all the exits, because they were doing rolling blockades. Yeah?
So, this whole group collected goods,
Yeah.
and some of us wanted to go all the way to DC, but we
Okay.
were sent to Dominion Raceway.
Okay, yeah,
So we
With
were actually
AFC, yeah.
part- We went with a whole trailer. There were about 8 of us that wound up going down there
Okay.
on Sunday, and we wound up going to Dominion.
mhm,
And you're exactly right. What happened was we were misled, and we went to Dominion. But we were also part of waking all the truckers up there that this was a scam. You know, we were sent to the wrong place.
Well-
We were sent to Dominion and all held there. They wanted to take the trailers of donations from us and everything. And luckily, one woman who drove down there in a
Mhm.
truck, she got hip to it right away, and we were up all night long. And that morning, it was funny, the police were very helpful with us.
yes.
They were ready to take people on buses down
Yeah,
to DC.
so, yeah,
everything.
so the local, so the local areas outside of DC itself, yeah, that community, as a matter of fact, Hagerstown itself, I love Hagerstown. I spent quite a few months there. I was joking that I was gonna have to get like my residency in Maryland because I had been down there for so long. But the people from Hagerstown, the support from there was astronomical. When I was at the Speedway and when we were cooking in full swing with the People's Convoy and everybody down there were so many local volunteers that would come in every single day. There's this one woman, she came and did my wash for me, okay? And I cried. I cried. You guys have no idea how hot running water, toilets, okay? Hot running water and toilets and warm socks. Complete clothes. I had been there, like I had enough clothes, you know, and I managed to get some wash done here and there, but if I got washed done, it was because somebody got a hotel room and they were like, hey, do you want to get a shower and do some washing? I'm like, yeah. And it'd be like 1 o'clock when I'd be leaving the Speedway. I'd go to the hotel room, I'd be up till like 3 o'clock in the morning doing my wash, get a shower, and I'd sleep for about 2.5 hours because I would be back at the Speedway because I had to open up the kitchen and start making breakfast.
How many days were you there?
So I got there March 3rd. And People's Convoy went to California the first week of April, I think it was, and I stayed with AFC. We were at the Speedway for another week or so until we found a different location. But we stayed in the Maryland area up until, what was that, July?
Wow.
June,
3
July,
months, 4 months.
somewhere in there, yeah. I was there quite a few
There
months.
were people
Yes,
there all
actively.
that time?
Yeah, so like I said, if you check out the Facebook, the end of year stats, when you get to that event list, you'll actually see I marked off the top one is March, People's Convoy, and then it says AFC, and then it'll actually list, there's a bunch of different events that we did in the Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia kind of areas, and you'll be able to see which groups, like I said, were active during that time in that area, because I stayed with them as long as I could. Or no, it wasn't quite July, I think it was June. It was June, because June was when we went and did the Peace Bridge, where we got to exchange the flags with the Canadians on the Peace Bridge in New York, and that was amazing. I have met some of the greatest friends of my life. I have an adopted family now in Canada. So they're really wonderful people. But it was an amazing experience. We were told we weren't allowed, and the border guys, they let us up on the bridge. We were able to exchange flags, hug, kiss, just celebrate our freedoms and with our northern brothers and sisters, and then go back, and it was that was an awesome
Canada's
experience.
the most peace-loving people, and what they did up there is beyond.
They're an
anything
amazing
that's-
inspiration, and I look to a lot of I have a special flag. I actually have a couple of special flags. I have 2 very, very special flags from Canada. One was given to me by my friend Miguel, and it was the first flag that he flew. And he is part of that family I talked about that has adopted me, him and his wife, and they're his mother-in-law. They're my family, so I love them, and I'm pretty sure they're watching somewhere on there. But so I have his flag, and I also have Ron Clark's flag that was flown in Ottawa. And Tammy and Miguel were kind enough to take my Canadian flag to Ron Clark. So if you ever watch Ron Clark, Freedom Advocate from Canada, and you see his live streams, the Canadian flag that hangs in the back of him was flown off the back of my truck. It went through 12 states in 6 weeks. And they were kind enough to take it to him, and then he sent his Ottawa flown flag back for me, and Tammy and Miguel gave it to me at the Reawaken tour in Pennsylvania. So it's a very special. We hung it up in Missouri, so yeah. So people
Is
can
Art
see it.
Pulaski,
The pastor.
is he still in jail? I lost
I
track.
don't remember. I remembered seeing something. I thought he was out, but I'm not sure.
Were you in Mannheim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we were there.
Yeah, I was there. I actually had I have some shirts and things. See, cool design here on my sweatshirt. This is the Soup Mama logo, but we actually have some T-shirts and stuff that we use to help, raise some funds for us. And we had them there with the booth with the North American Unity Tour. They were kind of hanging out. We have the We the People hats and the Truck Yeah hats and the Truckers Convoy hats that we were also, we had out there. And
What wonderful people there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I had a great time there. And that was really nice because, like I said, I had cooked for up in New York. So to be able to be in Pennsylvania and actually hear some of the speakers and have the chance to really walk around and talk to people was amazing. And I was able to do some live streaming from there too, which was really cool. So people could see what was going on and, at the Reawakening tour. So yeah, it's very informative. And it's a lot of great information, a lot of great resources. So
Pass some of these out.
yeah, absolutely. Did anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I'd like to bring to everyone's attention here that there are bioengineered labels out there, and I had to do my own little Google thing, and GMO is bioengineered, it's the same thing. I was drinking a Yule the other day and I saw it, and I just had to get to the bottom of it, because it started with a pack of crackers about a year ago. I'm like, what is that? And now I realize that they just put a different name on it. It's GMO, it's the same thing.
Do you have
You know,
any questions?
so-
to the store and any more questions?
Any more questions?
I'll never drink Yule again. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Well, not everywhere. Does anybody have any more questions?
Do you guys have any questions for me at all?
Yes, I have a question for you. Sure. What's the difference between a libertarian and a liberal? If someone says, are you a liberal or are you a libertarian? I think libertarian sounds better.
Well, here's the thing, I don't use labels,
Right?
so I really don't care. Do you call yourself human is what I care about.
It's a great point, because I think that's the only way we're gonna make it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I said, I don't worry about that, because that part's not
But
important.
what do we really fight? We're fighting for our freedoms against these dark entities
Right,
that are controlling us.
we all bleed the same,
Well,
so.
look at all these movie stars. They're all Epstein Island. How come there isn't movie stars that have come out and said, listen, I was there once, I wasn't into it.
I'm not a
one
movie star, I
has
couldn't
ever
tell
said
you.
that. So it's like,
Not yet.
and then they got Andrew Tate, like for human trafficking. Obviously, they don't want men listening to him because he's teaching men to stand up. I mean, a family can only grow as good as the mother can be. So what they've done is they've hacked the family by taxing both sides of the
That was
spectrum.
all by
It's-
design,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's what Aaron Russo said with Reflections and Warnings. Great video.
Yeah,
Reflections
also,
and Warnings.
America from Freedom to Fascism. Eric
Yeah, well, it
Russo.
really hit home when he talked about reflections and warnings. So you got the taxing the other half of society, the mother gets out of it's so obvious for us, we have eyes to see, but other people, they're still in la la
Like
land.
I said, it starts with simple conversations, that's where you gotta start.
Most people will think women's lib was a good thing. And, yeah, it's a good thing, equal pay. It was this
If you guys
deception.
don't have any other questions for me, I'm gonna sit down. Appreciate it, guys. And if you feel like stop and chat or whatever, please feel free free, I would like to.
Yeah.
Is there any new business we wanna talk about?
What do we want to talk about?
Any new business we wanna just talk about?
Well, ultimately, I don't know how many times people have been here, but what ultimately do we really want to accomplish? Truly, what do we really want
What's
to
the top
accomplish?
three, or maybe?
Destroy the enemy.
Yes, exactly, so hold on a second. We all right, so it's a great question, it's an absolutely great question. We all talk about freedom. What specifically about that is worth fighting for? We all come here
Our kids.
and, yeah, kids, community, your neighbors, everything. So what ultimately is the plan moving forward? She had made the point that, we need to get out. Well, if we're going to distribute something, what is our program, and what are we actually going to fight for?
Replace all the school boards.
Right. So you had said, though, you made an excellent point that the sheriff doesn't necessarily have to much power, what people say. So aside from relying on sort of institutions and such, what is our program now? What do we really want to fight for aside from freedom and the Constitution? Well, very great things to talk about, but what is it? What's the new plan? How are we going to distinguish ourselves between the opposition? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there's a plan.
Or the other groups?
Other groups do, yes. So we want to stand out more than anyone else. How are we going to do that?
There's different plans.
Okay.
Different ways of going about them.
Such as what? You have the floor here,
I
man.
can talk to you privately,
Okay.
because everybody else knows all about it.
Okay, cool. I just, someone else can speak and jump in if you'd like to, so.
It sounds like you're asking what direction should we go in, and what should we start fighting? What should
Yes,
we?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So, we go to the
We've
two
asked
parties.
this before, yeah.
Yeah, so ultimately, how would you really start implementing that in real life? Do you want to settle on like a 5-10 point program? Do we want to actually, what is really the issue? People make the point all the time about the World Economic Forum and, how allegedly, the entirety of the United States is held hostage or whatever. That sounds great and that's something to focus on, but aside from that, how can we thwart this?
I'm
All these
learning the
developments are
gimbal.
highest absolute level. I was talking to David earlier today.
So I
and, it
apologize
seems as if there's a lot of
if I'm
fear
a little,
mongering.
ooh, crooked here.
We can talk about negative stuff, but
We
we
are-
offer something new. What is
Okay, I
it?
got an idea. Be respectful to the police when they pull you over. A lot of times they just want to check you out, whatever. Sometimes they have a reason,
So right
sometimes they
here,
don't. They got quotas, all right?
Jefferson
Listen, hey,
Diner
listen,
and the
you
Tavern.
arrested any pedophiles
That's where I'm
lately?
at right now.
What are you doing?
I'm just learning mine.
Listen,
Stitch just
I'm a
gave
pizza
it to
guy. I
me.
deliver pizza. You
So,
got it done, man. You gotta
um,
change the world.
trying to figure it out.
Like, when you guys gonna get together and arrest these pedophiles?
I hope I did
Highest
okay, guys.
levels of power.
So,
And you
I hope you guys
for highest
enjoy,
levels of power, they
and
gotta be
talking.
local too. Maybe some teachers.
But
You know,
I'm gonna
it's like,
flip
I
this
think
back
everyone
around
could
so you
agree,
guys
save
can
the
hear the
children.
rest of
You
the
don't mess
meeting.
with
I'm
their
gonna
heads.
try and snack
That's
on
why
my
I feel
food.
like all the school boards across, the teachers let us down, they should have got together and say, I know what I learned in my institution from a Chinese spy wasn't really good for the human nucleus, right? But now I'm teaching the kids and I have
Thanks,
a choice whether I
Jennifer.
teach them stuff or I walk and pound salt.
So we'll turn that
So I
back
feel
that
like the
way.
teachers let us down.
So I promised them I'd leave that kind of turned that way. Just because, privacy stuff, for people being on camera like crazy.
They're making a ton of money.
I want to eat a little, although,
No, I can't speak. I
Here,
get
no.
these things from Hillsdale College.
I wonder if I can show you guys.
That
Show you guys my
the student enrollment is less,
plate.
the teacher enrollment is less.
That looks amazing. I am so hungry, and it looks super, super yummy. That shirt there was a gift. I can't wait to see the whole thing. I definitely gonna have to check it out in a little bit. So, I believe that this is their meeting spot.
We got 50,000
You know what,
vice
let me do
principals
this.
and all that. We don't need that.
They're not
I believe this is where they have like their monthly meetings.
Yeah, but how do we tell?
Yeah, I know the Food Network filmed here. So we're actually in a private, wrong way. Okay, that's better. We're actually in a private room in the front, which is really cool. And this place is super amazing. So I kind of want to show you guys like a little bit of the building, and it attaches directly to the diner. So you can walk from the diner into the bar here, which is really cool. So like, I'm serious. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a French fry.
Oh, the Freemasons, yeah,
Okay, so hold on.
But yeah.
Freemasonry.
So this place is pretty cool.
Freemasons, because it's the low-level Freemasons aren't doing all the child sacrifices.
me
But
see.
at the top, I hear it's really
Show you
dark.
guys like
Well, so I hear the Eye of Horus really isn't the Eye of Horus
these
at all.
really
It's
cool light fixtures.
Something dirty. That's why that's the big secret I heard. I
Okay,
heard
so
on
unfortunately,
Fulford.
Look at these beautiful light fixtures and stuff in here.
It's not gonna work out well, sorry about that.
Yeah, this addition is just
So how though,
beautiful.
both of you talk about really fantastic things. How ultimately, when you're
and
dealing with
like-
something like this, like
oops.
complex and such, how do you
Wrong
make
way.
all this information palatable to people who are not so-called awake yet? So we're constantly talking about how best to present it.
Whoops.
You know, that is really
Oh
the
my
key issue.
gosh. Sorry,
How do you
guys.
truly want
Still
to get
figuring this
everything,
thing
like,
out.
number one, on your side, and then we're converted more or less permanently, and they start
I mean, you
marching
see,
with you
this is
eventually.
just-
So
it's
that,
beautiful
I feel
in
like
here.
those two things, okay? Money?
Advertising.
It's,
Right.
Getting something like this together.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Hand out at our
Oops, wrong way. So yeah, so this place is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I'm gonna have to take some pictures of it in a little bit, and I'll post all that on the page just because this place is gorgeous. Like I said, I'm hungry. I'm glad you guys came along tonight. Yeah, absolutely, Jay. And you know, the thing is this is your neck of the woods, dude. So maybe you should come out, give them some direction, help them out some. Because these guys are pretty awesome. Like I said, they're out every weekend in the freezing cold on the street corners, hanging out for standouts. So it's totally awesome, and they're dedicated. So we just got to get them moving in the right direction. So
With the guy.
yeah, let's start getting them hooked up.
The movie,
You live here.
Real Anthony
Your-
Fauci.
your state.
Robert F. Kennedy, Bob's.
take charge.
He's the producer.
Anyway, guys, I'm gonna eat.
Robert
I'll
Kennedy
pop back on
Jr.,
later.
Robert Malone, and,
I love you. God bless. We'll talk
Peter
soon.
Corey. All those, they're all doctors, right? So.
Aw. Well,
they
prayers,
talk
honey.
about,
Prayers for you guys.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said.
Hit me up on
The only way, he said he spoke
me up on the
to
phone
a very
sometime.
well-known, very,
Okay. All right, Jay.
you know.
Love you.
raised
I love you guys. God bless. Have a
said
wonderful night.
the only
I'm
way
gonna hang
to
out here for a little
change
bit,
somebody
and I'll
for
talk
the
to you
Nazi,
soon.
Like what they really think, is to not go at them,